which is a little bit different from fighting them and winning a few.
As you say, you could fight Joe Louis and lose. Look at this, dancing in tandem. We're going to go up to the ring before this turns into dance fever here. Here's Mark Biro with the introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alessi Promotions presents main event 10 rounds junior welterweights. Referee Brian Gary. Introducing first in the red corner to my right, wearing the pink trunks with ice green, red, and gold star accessories. He weighs 143 pounds. His professional record, 30 wins, 5 defeats, 2 draws, with 19 knockouts. From Houston, Texas, recently known as Roz I, and former WBA champion of the world, Livingstone Bramble. Bramble. His opponent, wearing white trunks, blue trim. He weighs 139 3/4 pounds. Pro record, 12 wins, 13 defeats, 4 knockouts. From Buffalo, New York, Roger Brown. Brown, 10 rounds, junior welterweights.
All right, gentlemen, I'll be the third man in the ring with you, in charge of the bout at all times. Listen to my commands. We went over the rules in the dressing room before the bout. I want to point out one thing. Belt's a little high right here. I'll consider this still a legal blow right here. You see that? He's all right on the button. All right, protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves, come out boxing at the belt. Touch gloves. Touch gloves. Come on.
Here's the tail of the tape.
Rozzy.
Rozzy Bramble catching some pressure from his family to go back to his original name of Livingstone Bramble. Has the edge in reach, despite the fact that he's an inch shorter than Roger Brown. And he came in a few pounds over the junior welterweight limit of 140. This is round 1. We're scheduled for 10. These are junior welterweights. Livingstone Bramble in the pink trunks with the stars, and Roger Brown, who trained some 8 weeks for this fight. One of the reasons he says he's had so many losses on his ledger, he's wearing the white trunks with the blue trim, is that he's taken many of these fights on short notice. And that's an excuse you hear quite often, but he says he is ready to go and would like to make a mark in the boxing world right now against the former world champion, Livingstone Bramble.
Well, he's got a tough task ahead of him today, because Livingstone Bramble wants to make a name for himself, wants to get back up to the big money times. Still got it? We'll see.
Well, we know that Livingstone Bramble is a bit of a character. We saw that as he came in and danced in tandem with his young son. Was very relaxed at the weigh-in today.
And also refused to touch gloves at the beginning. He does anything to discombobulate you. Right now, the pace is very fast for these two. Brown trying to get Bramble out of his rhythm and out of his game plan, just throwing a lot of meaningless punches, but keeping Bramble away.
Bramble was always a tremendous defensive fighter. We saw that when he won the championship back in 1984 against Mancini. Great counterpuncher, and also unorthodox in the fact that he's almost equally adept at fighting from both the conventional and the southpaw stance. One of the few guys that can really make that transition and make it work.
He can switch back and forth. It's enough to drive a blow-by-blow man crazy, because you just can't. He can do it in mid-punches. I mean, this guy goes both ways easily.
And you see it as he gives Roger Brown different looks as he comes forward.
He jabs with his left, then he jabs with his right, then he hooks all of a sudden. I mean, you just can't tell where he's coming from.
Left hand grazes the chin of Roger Brown as Bramble has been pressing the attack in the opening round, and the right hand scores, and it's a good solid punch.
Not much to judge one way or another in that Roger's doing all the fighting, but Bramble is chasing, and he has landed a couple of the more meaningful punches in this round.
Bramble's just extremely adept at giving you enough angle to make you miss. Blocks those punches with his gloves very well, uses his elbows to protect his body. Well-schooled defensive fighter, and he still has that fully intact in Pierce.
Come on, get him up. Get him up.
You can see the difference in the attack of both men. When Bramble punches, it's sharp, crisp. The other guy is throwing pillows.
Coming to the closing moments of round one, pretty much a feeling out process, although I think a slight edge would have to go to Livingstone Bramble. A somewhat placid Roger Brown in round one saw the feeling out process go to Livingstone Bramble. This is round two action in the junior welterweight ranks. Bramble in the pink trunks. The dreadlocks make him a dead giveaway, and Roger Brown in the white with the blue trim. Take a look at the knockout ratio. The power advantage clearly in Bramble's corner with 51%. He's been to the ring 36 times, 37. Check that as a pro, and has scored 19 knockouts.
And that's evident. It bears out what we said in the first round, the type of punches, the way that Bramble punches. You know he gets knockouts. The sharp, crisp punches. Whereas Roger doesn't throw really sharp, hard punches.
One of those guys with economy of movement, too, and that's what makes him an effective puncher. Not the strongest guy in the lightweight division, but he puts everything together on a very short line. Brown kind of leaning a little bit, and that could be a very dangerous tendency against a guy like Bramble who can switch up like that, as we see him go left and then right. And here he is from the southpaw stance. Right back to right-handed. Transitions on a dime, and that's one of his strengths, an ambidextrous fighter, equally adept with both hands.
Roger Brown is trying to outpunch him in quantity, but he has nothing on it, so it's not hurting Bramble. Bramble's just coming right through. Anything he throws, he goes right through.
It's difficult to come up the middle against a guy like Bramble because he really uses sort of a peekaboo style to protect himself, and he does it very well.
And also, you can't predict how he's going to counterpunch because he goes either way. I mean, all of a sudden, the left hand side, then it's the right hand. I mean, you just don't know which way he's turning. It gives you a straight-ahead look, and you just cannot anticipate whether he's going to come at you righty or lefty.
In his prime, he was also an excellent body puncher. Helped him pull out those fights against Mancini.
Well, the reason the boxing public came down on him after quitting against Boo Boo Mancini, I mean, not Boo Boo, I'm sorry, against Rosario, was he anticipated such a great fight. It was going to be so great. It was the fight of the night, and it just ended in a fumble. You know, then you had to watch Camacho take apart a poor, old, tired Boza Edwards, and it was just a terrible night for boxing.
September of 1986 on Miami Beach. A lot of anticipation about two lightweight championship fights that had a lot of luster. Back at the Tampa Hyatt Regency in Tampa, Florida, Jeff DeForest along with the fight doctor, Freddie Pacheco. This is round three, junior welterweights. The former lightweight champion of the world, Livingstone Bramble in the pink trunks. Roger Brown now trying to open things up a little bit and work the jab as we begin round three. Freddie, your scorecard has Bramble ahead.
And now he begins to punch with a lot of authority, whereas before he was throwing soft pillows up there. He didn't hit anything, but at least it looks like he means to hurt Bramble. Before, it just looked like he was in here for the ride. Crowd booing at the end of the second round because after the night of action we had, this seems like slow motion.
Tactical fight thus far. Rossi Bramble pin in a shell somewhat, content to counterpunch as Roger Brown, surprisingly the taller of the two fighters, but with the shorter reach, has been leaning in a little bit and somewhat off balance in the early stages of this matchup. We know Bramble has the stamina to go to distance. With former champs, you sometimes wonder what kind of shape they're in. He hasn't fought 6 months since that bicep injury.
Also his attention spans. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't stay focused sometimes. I mean, you know, you're not dealing with a guy that's going to do 3 minutes out of every round. Sometimes his mind wanders.
You're not always sure, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's amazing that he hadn't thrown uppercuts, as you say. Brown is leaning in. What do you do with a fighter that leans in? Uppercuts. And Bramble happens to have a wonderful inside uppercut. He hasn't thrown anything real hard. Whether he's luring him into that trap to feel comfortable leaning in, I don't know, but neither has his corner told him to, so.
Now, midway through round 3, not always easy to figure out where Bramble is plugged in, but when he is wired right, he can fight. We know that. Coming off 2 losses, though.
I think he's one of the true eccentrics in boxing. Good fighters who could have been great, but were too eccentric. Right now in the heavyweight division, we got a guy named Riddick Bowe, who's got all the potential to be a Joe Louis type of fighter, but you can't tell what planet he's on half the time.
Need a compass to find him once in a while. The guy that's coming on, I think he's on the undercard at the Ruddock-Tyson rematch in a couple of weeks coming up in Las Vegas. Razor Ruddock, by the way, saying he's going to change strategies in that fight. And he put it very simply, rare that you get an honest answer out of a fighter. Ask him if he intended to do anything differently, and the guy usually says, no, I'm going to fight my fight. He says, I better do something different. I lost the last time.
Obvious and good answer. Oh, he's an engaging guy. In the meantime, things are not heating up particularly, but at least Brown is showing some evil intention.
Scored with a short left hand that got through Bramble's peekaboo defense. Bramble not answering back with the frequency that he did in rounds 1 and 2, coming to the closing moments of round 3.
Brown did much better this round because he threw hard punches, and it took Bramble out of his game plan, if he does have a game.
Final seconds of round 3. We'll be back with round 4. Junior welterweights on Prime Network.
Screen Sport. More sport, more choice. Every night this week, we've a double bill of live soccer. South America's top...
Heart of the champion emerge again from Livingstone Bramble. That's the question that remains to be answered as we go to round 4 at the Tampa Hyatt Regency. Roger Brown was told in his corner that he won round 3, and that seemed to be the case.
I think so. I have winning, which gave Bramble the first 2 and gave him the third, meaning that, wait a minute, pause in the action as, what?
Brian Gary, the referee,
Tape?
separates
What is happening? Oh, a mouthpiece.
Roger Brown forgot it. And it's cleaned and put back in.
Well, I will tell you right now, with people watching from the networks and the people that make fights, if Bramble wants to be considered as the next Camacho opponent, he better do something a lot better than this.
Roger Brown coming on steadily since the beginning of round 3 on the scorecard. Bramble clearly the winner of the first couple of rounds. Feeling out process in round 1. The pace has not been particularly furious at any juncture of this fight. Roger Brown had the best of it in round 3, though. He flurried a couple of times, and Bramble was unable to respond. Bramble not as quick off the mark as I remember him in the fights in his glory days.
Time will do that to you.
Those were several years ago. He was the lightweight champion back in 1984 and held that title.
You're not as quick as you were in 1985. I remember your mouth in 1985. It was a blur. And now you're down to where I can understand what you're saying. The years will do that to you when you're in this hard profession of boxing. Takes the edge off, takes speed, takes reflexes, and finally takes you out of the game.
Vince Scully had the classic line about that as he was talking about a ball player saying he was a day-to-day proposition, and then he corrected himself and said, no, life is a day-to-day proposition. Right now, Rosie Bramble perhaps on borrowed time as a fighter because he's lost his last 2 fights. He needs to get busy here against Roger Brown.
He's not showing any of the caliber of fighter he was when he won the championship and when he was on top fighting network fights. He's just not showing that at all.
We mentioned that Roger Brown from Buffalo, New York had been in the ring with some of the top names in the lightweight division. Early in his career, he fought a promising youngster named John Wesley Meekins. Been in against Vinny Pancienza, the Tasmanian Devil. 2 victories over the former lightweight champion Harry Arroyo, a fighter you're familiar with, Bertie. Edwin Rosario took him out in a couple of rounds. He fought Jose Luis Ramirez. Also went in against Frankie Randall very recently and fought Tracy Spann, who's a fighter who achieved national prominence as well.
While all of that is good, the bottom line is that he lost all of it. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference who you lost to. You know, you
we'll
do
go to
get some
Bramble's corner
experience.
between rounds. And we'll take it back to Livingstone Bramble's corner as he came on a little bit in the final moments of that round, and we'll see if we can pick up what his handlers have to say, as he needs to find a little bit of that fire that made him a champion.
I need you to pick it up like that the whole round. All right. Put some Vaseline on the face. Look at
Put a little water on my back.
Okay. You're laying back too long. Okay? Laying back too long. And then it's time to work. You're not bringing that left hook. You got to use it. You understand? Yeah. Let's go downstairs. Both sides and split the middle.
All right.
You understand me? Keep that jab. Let's go that hard jab. When he pulls towards you, throwing shots, cut him with a left hook.
Seconds out. Seconds out. We approach.
Getting set for the 5th round of this matchup, scheduled for 10 in the junior welterweight division. Razi Bramble, who just about fight time said, "No, call me Livingstone again."
In keeping with his consistent inconsistency. I mean, you could expect that next time he'll come in and say, "I'm not Livingston anymore, I'm Razi again."
If ever there was a guy that suffered from an identity crisis both in and out of the ring, it is Bramble, as he tries to regain the championship form that took him to the top of the heap in the lightweight division.
Good. 3-4. Good thumping shots by Brown. All good action by Brown just then. If you can keep that up for a round, he'd win the round handily. And Livingston Bramble being told in the corner, you've got to step this up. You're not really doing what you want to do here. Go side to side and split the middle, meaning 2 punches to the body and then come right up with the uppercut. But he hasn't done that. So, I mean, again, a case of an old fighter. Maybe his head is telling him to do it, but his body's not doing it.
You see this so often with older fighters, especially former champs on the comeback trail. The lack of motion around the ring. They really just like to stand there and plant, whereas Livingstone Bramble in his heyday used to be able to give you all kinds of looks, different angles, and he'd move around the ring, slip out of the corners when he was in trouble.
Much faster, much more active. Look at this. Roger comes back with a nice 3-point combination. Continues winning the round.
It's pretty much been a case of all upper body action in this fight. Not a lot of leg movement from either fighter.
Well, you can expect that from the older guy. You don't, I mean, as you say, older champions don't want to move around. Also, they have a difficulty. They're so good that in their brain, they see what they should do, but their body can't execute it in time. And that's the basics of a shot fighter. Good punch by Bramble. Now let's see what he does when he's got Brown up against the ropes. Brown gets out of there after 2 quick punches. Brown doing well.
That area of the ring used to be Bramble's home court. So if he had a fighter pinned against the ropes, he would rally, flurry, and ultimately pile up points and be well on his way to victory in those situations. Here he's willing to let Brown off the hook.
Not effective with his punches. Not hurting Brown, and at this point, not even intimidating Brown. 2 uppercuts by Brown.
Bramble content to throw 1 punch at a time in answer to Brown's leads.
In answer to Brown's 2 or 3 punches. You can lose.
Brown off balance. Right hand landed to the head of Bramble as he picks up the pace in the closing moments of round 5.
Brown feeling very frisky. He knows he's won this round.
We'll take it to Roger Brown's corner between rounds. He came on strongly here in round 5 and seemed to reverse the trend of Bramble pulling out the round on points with counter shots exclusively, and we'll try and listen in now to Roger Brown's corner.
Hey, we're going to box this one. Get him on his neck. Come on out. Come on out. Get on his neck. Come on. Faster. You got to do everything. Are you going to stay with me? Okay. All right, you handle in there. Don't go to his right. Go to his left. You understand? Forget that southpaw shit. Stay the other way, Cuddy. Box, 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 in and out, and get out. You're doing it. Breathe in deep. You got it.
Watch his right hand by Brown. He's bringing it over like he was throwing from center field home. Those aren't effective punches, but what they really do is build up points if they land. The judge has seen him. He's outspeeding and outworking Bramble in this round. He's come up close. He's 48 to 47 on my card unofficially after 5. And that's pretty close. Judges could have been looking at it as an equal fight up to now. Bramble has to get active in order to impress. He is not impressed. He's barely even in this fight. Slightly ahead.
And it seems like Livingstone Bramble is doing it from the memory book here.
Yeah.
Kind of going through the motions a little bit. You see some of the skills that he possessed as a world champion, but just not the speed and the ability to execute.
The fire's gone out.
Brown starting to throw in bunches now.
Yeah, Brown getting very brave. Bramble's let him get brave now. Unless Bramble can neutralize all that with a hard shot and get Brown's attention. Brown should be, if he's trained this hard, he should just be teeing off on Bramble, because Bramble has taken the middle rounds off.
Minute gone by in round 6, round 5. Seemed to be in the bank for Roger Brown. Had him winning 2 rounds of the 5 thus far as Bramble rocks him back against the ropes. Brown spins out of there and now goes wild in the center of the ring.
Good action from Brown, who is giving no respect to the former champion, Livingstone Bramble.
Get up, Rob.
Bramble used to be so tough coming forward also. He's unable to really put that kind of pressure on Roger Brown so far in this fight.
Well, the hardest thing for boxing fans and even us in trade to realize is this is not Livingstone Bramble. This is what's left of Livingstone Bramble. It's so hard when you're watching a great fighter like Sugar Ray Leonard in the Garden, or Ali, or anyone, even Tommy Hearns, who won the other day. They're not the same fighter that you liked and you thought was such a spectacular fighter. So this is what's left of Livingstone Bramble right now. It's just he's keeping up with Brown, but oh, nice punch. Now, he should be moving more. Brown should be moving more. You see that Livingstone is virtually riveted to the canvas. So with these good legs that Roger's got, he should just be moving. That's the move right there. You just saw it. Duck out, move off. Don't stand there. Now, off. He should go off.
Chopping left hand has been effective for Roger Brown as we're about 30 seconds left into round 6. And he's been scoring consistently in this round. Bramble really with nothing in response.
No, he's been outscoring him. Even when he misses, he's throwing 3 or 4 punches, so something lands, and that's points. Bramble waiting for that knockout punch is getting nothing.
Round 7, junior welterweights. Livingstone Bramble, former champion of the world in the lightweight division in the pink trunks with the stars. Roger Brown has been coming on wearing the white trunks with the blue trim.
In the corner, I think Bramble's corner is starting to get a little worried. So come on with hooks. You're not throwing hooks. He's throwing 3 or 4 punches. You're throwing nothing. Come back with a hook and then both sides to the body. But of course, there's the hook that they're asking him to throw. He hasn't thrown enough of it. Brown getting more and more confident as this goes, and his corner should be telling him that motion is the key to winning here. Punch, move, and let this old guy wear himself out trying to chase you.
Brown's punches have become much more crisper as the fight has progressed. As you said, Ferdy, he seems to have gained confidence over the 6 rounds we've seen thus far. The fight did even. It hangs in the balance and now boils down to a 4-rounder for Livingstone Bramble, perhaps for his career in the ring, and for Roger Brown, at least another payday.
Well, I don't think, Livingstone Bramble couldn't afford to lose here. I mean, if he loses here, this is all he's going to do for the rest of his ring career, is boxing in small arenas and so forth, because he's not going to be a name fighter anymore. He can't beat this guy, and he's not beating him. We're right even. Now comes a little bit of a charge by Bramble. A little first good charge. 2 or 3 connecting blows by Bramble.
Bramble scoring with the right hand to the body, came upstairs and now looking to go with the right hand, mixes in a left that grazes the jaw of Roger Brown, who's been backing up quite a bit in this fight, but he's been scoring doing so. Bramble letting him get away with that tactic.
He should. He shouldn't stay there and fight. He has trained hard and his legs are in good shape. That's what he should be doing, bouncing up and down and getting away from it. At least a little bit more determination on the part of Bramble. He's now chasing a little bit harder than he was before.
big right hand, and down goes Roger Brown in round 7. First knockdown of the fight.
That may be the last knockdown. He should get up from that. That wasn't that much. He's not getting up, though. He is there. He's there. That's it. I would like to see that. I can't believe that. That did not look like that hard a punch, and it did look like he could get up. I mean, he just bounced up at 10 like nothing was happening. I don't understand that. He is ahead on the fight. He's doing well that round, and he gets hit one hand. Well, let's take a look at it in replay and answer our questions. He got hit a good hammering right hand, but he dove for the canvas. He got hit a good hammering right hand, but that was a delayed dive into the canvas. I mean, it wasn't a crumple up punch and then effect.
Very surprising to see Roger Brown go down in that fashion. He seemed to be doing well in the fight. We did see Livingstone Bramble coming on in round 7. He was starting to put that right hand to good use. The right hand that sent Brown to the canvas was a good, solid, short shot. Get another look at it.
Let's take another look, because let's particularly see what happens after he hits him. Now he hits him. There's a good shot. Now he goes back to the ropes. He's looking at him. And now he dives. I mean, that wasn't a collapse. That was don't hit me anymore kind of a dive. Let's look again. Let us take a right hand. Okay, now let's watch him. Let's watch Brown. Brown is there. Now he's looking at him.
He just folded as he was looking to duck a shot.
What he did was try to duck that shot, but you have to be conscious in order to duck the shot.
He ducked it.
You have to do a voluntary thing. You look at that, you say, here comes a punch, and when he went over, it might have been that everything shorted out then, and he went in because he certainly didn't get up by 10, or make an effort to get up by 10.
We have the official time. Our ring announcer, Mark Biro, in the center of the ring, and let's go to him right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 2 minutes, 15 seconds of the 7th round. The winner by knockout, Livingstone Bramble.
Livingstone Bramble back on the winning track. He needed this fight very badly if he intends to fight again and ultimately compete for the junior welterweight championship, make some of that big money that's out there with the likes of Hector Macho Camacho, a guy he's always wanted to fight in his career. A knockout in the 7th round against Roger Brown.
Inside and outside the ring, a very articulate and interesting young man to talk to, and he knows his craft in the ring as well. He's honing his style.
Introducing, in the red corner, formerly of Tonga, now fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, weighing in at 192 3/4 pounds, with a professional record of 39 wins, 1 defeat, 2 draws, and 36 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the challenger, Tony Fuliangi. And in the blue corner, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, weighing 191 3/4 pounds. His professional record consists of 18 wins, 2 defeats, with 15 KOs. He is the NABF Cruiserweight Champion, Smokin' Bert Cooper.
Let me see your gloves, Tony. See your gloves, Bert. Let's see this guy on the altar. That's fine. Okay, abdomen, fine. Okay, gentlemen, I've given you your instructions in the dressing room. I want you to adhere to them and listen to my commands, especially the command to break. I want no lay hits after that bell. Good luck to both of you.
And so we're set to go. 12 rounds for the NABF, North American Boxing Federation.